Welcome everyone to the Quantbox Chennai Grandmasters 2026. We have the world champion Arjun Gukesh coming into his game. He's looking for his first win today, and will it be against the India number 1 Arjun Erigaisi, who's entering in? What a clash we have between these two youngsters. They have played against each other quite a lot. In 2026, they met at the Tata Steel Chess Championship in Vaikanze. The game ended in a draw. In 2025, they exchanged wins against each other. Gukesh won at the European Club Cup, also won a game at Norway Chess. Arjun struck back in Norway Chess, had won in Vaikanze 2025. So they both are quite evenly matched. And I would say it's a very exciting clash. While Gukesh has managed to climb up to become the world champion, Arjun managed to achieve what very few people have done so in the world of chess, that is reached 2800 ELO. And we have a young boy, 8-year-old, who gets a chance to make the first move. He quickly plays e4 and maybe few years down the line, he will be playing at the Chennai Grandmasters himself. The players are ready, handshake, and Gukesh starts to think for his first move here. This, dear friends, is the neuro game of the day. In chess and in life, lack of attention and focus costs you games and key moments. Instead of going for that third cup of coffee or that energy drink that overstimulates you or gives you jitters, try NeuroGum. It's viral in the US. It has a clinically proven blend of natural caffeine that gives alertness and L-theanine that gives you calm and stable focus without the jitters or the crash. Try NeuroGum. Link is in the description. Gukesh opens with pawn to c4. The English opening is on the board. And Arjun Erigaisi calmly thinking here, what should be his move? So many options to play and choose from. He goes e6. An interesting choice. He wants to play his pawn to d5. Knight to c3 played. Knight comes out. And Arjun now can push pawn to d5. The Queen's Gambit declined setup. And he does so. Pawn comes up to d5. Gukesh goes d4, and now he transposes it into a d4 opening. Bishop e7. This move is played against bishop g5 because if you get your knight out, bishop g5 is possible. So first bishop e7, and Gukesh can now choose. He can play knight out to f3, but he decides to play the most critical line. He takes on d5. Arjun takes back. He takes d5. And now the most natural move is bishop f4, because you want to put your pawn on e3, bring your bishop out, knight here and castle. That's how normally white wants to play. Okay, Arjun goes pawn to c6, strengthening his center. e3 played here. And now bishop to f5. So the bishop comes out, and here you cannot, bishop d3 would be very even. So Gukesh goes for g4. He questions the bishop. If you go back to g6, I'll go h4. I'll try to trap your bishop here. So bishop coming back to e6 makes a lot of sense. And let's see what Gukesh does. He goes h4. He grabs space on the king side. If you take on h4, I have queen b3 attacking here, and the queen is kind of locked to the bishop. So Arjun doesn't get tempted to take the pawn. He goes knight d7. Knight comes to h3. And this is kind of weird move. I'm not sure if Arjun would be prepped for this. He plays queen b6 after nearly 16 minutes of thought, attacking the pawn on b2. Now the best move here is rook b1. And Gukesh plays it very quickly. And for Arjun now, he goes for the most critical line. He takes on h4. asking Gukesh, what's your plan? What's your compensation for the missing pawn? You blocked your H file. So now what next? Well, Gukesh says, I have it covered as well. I'm going G5 and I want to trap your bishop on H4. Okay. Arjun goes knight e7 and his plan is to come to G6 with the knight to defend the bishop. And Gukesh now goes for a think. He is at 131 and he really thinks hard for 22 minutes and comes knight G1, the best move in the position. Not only do you attack the bishop, but you're bringing your knight out to F3 to attack it again. Arjun goes knight G6. That was the only move to defend the bishop. And now after knight F3, he has something planned. And Arjun gets up after every move almost to show his confidence that he has it covered. Knight to F3, attacking the bishop. Isn't the bishop trapped? Yes, it is. But you go bishop G4, pinning the knight. And that is what Arjun does. He pins the knight on F3. Okay. What's next for Gukesh now? The best move here is bishop H3. Clarifying the situation, and Gukesh has it all calculated. He thinks for a few minutes, he plays it, and H5, Arjun also has it covered. Now, G takes H6, a good move. Maybe the best move in the position. But he goes bishop takes bishop. And that's also great. I think it's the second best move, but it makes so much sense because after pawn takes, you want to take on H4. And then use your queen to gobble up the pawn on G4. So take on H4. Now knight H4 or rook H4. Both are possible. He takes rook takes H4. Rook takes H4. Knight takes on H4. And now Gukesh takes the pawn. So material is even, but the queen is super active. He comes back with his knight. And very exciting position. Okay, what's next now? How does white coordinate the pieces? He can't castle. If it was long castle, he would be so happy and shift the rook to H1. But for now, the rook has already moved. So he plays bishop to G3, defending the bishop. Maybe black can long castle here, but then knight takes D5 is a great shot. Takes here, rook C1, and it's almost mate. So he goes knight D F8. He brings his knight back and he's coming to E6. Gukesh has an opportunity to play on the queen side, but he goes king F1. His plan is to play king G2 and rook H1 and enter in from the H file. Knight to E7. And Arjun is aiming for G6, knight F5, knight E6, playing on the light squares. King goes to G2. And what is next? Arjun plays his knight to E6. He's attacking the pawn here on G5. It's defended for the time being. But rook H1. This seems like a great move. But first, Gukesh goes knight E2. And I think Gukesh maybe wants to transfer his knight to F4. G6 played here. And this is not a good move at all. Now, rook H1 is just very powerful and Gukesh plays it. He has only 16 minutes on the clock though. Gukesh has taken a lot of time here and Arjun quickly starts moving. He takes the pawn on B2. Believe it or not, this position is +4 after rook H8 check. It's a very, very important moment. There's also bishop D6, which is a nice move. But one thing that Gukesh has to do here is take care of his time. While he has a wonderful position, it's somehow so difficult to finish off with just, 15 minutes on the clock. So, by the way, instead of taking this pawn on B2, he could have gone king D7, but rook H7 already looked really dangerous. So taking on b2 now. You can see there Gukesh slowing down, thinking hard. You can see the spark in his eyes. He knows he's going to maybe win this. Knight f8. And now bishop d6 is a powerful move. Bishop d6. And the point is, if imagine you take here, I simply go queen h3 and I'm entering in from here and looking here, so the knight cannot move. Rook d8. He plays bishop c7, attacking the rook. Now rook d7 is met with rook f8 and I take the rook. So you have to go rook c8, allowing bishop d6. But I'll go. And I think Gukesh can repeat because he gets 30 extra seconds. I mean, there's no move 40 in this tournament. So rook d8. And now the best move after bishop c7, rook c8 is to come back to f4. And you know why this is the best move? He goes to e5, which is also fine, but bishop f4 was great because first you bring your knight to g3 and then you play bishop e5, bishop g7. Now knight f5 played. Now important moment, because if you play knight g3, I'm taking knight e3 check and you lose the queen. So bishop f4 still the strongest move. But he goes bishop g7. And his point is, if you take the bishop, I take the rook. That's what he wants to do. But Arjun knows how to defend against this. He has king e7 in mind. While Gukesh down to 2 minutes, Arjun has 29 minutes. And all of a sudden, the game has gotten very wild. King e7, fantastic defense by Arjun. And now Gukesh goes bishop f6. The only move is king d6. I mean, that's so difficult. Because king e8, you can take here. He goes king d6. He finds that move. Wow. Arjun is crazy. Bishop check. King e7 back. And now you can take a draw with bishop f6, bishop e5, and I think Arjun would be happy with the draw. But I'm pretty sure that Gukesh wants to win. He goes bishop g7 again attacking. If you take here, c8 is hanging, f8 is then next hanging. So he goes king e7. And now e4 played. So if you take d4, I have check, rook takes f8 and queen e4 with the win. So knight g7, he takes on c8. Okay, f8 is hanging, so you can't really take on e2 just yet. So he brings his knight back, defends f8, attacks the knight on e2. Also b7 is hanging, but knight g3 quickly played. And the main point here is that Arjun's position is suddenly starting to breathe. He comes queen d4 and remember he has 6 pawns while Gukesh has only 4. Knight and 2 pawns for a rook. Gukesh says, I take back 1 pawn. Now check to your king. But knight d7. And if you get bit greedy, if you take these pawns, the rook is hanging. So rook comes back to h4, defending here. And 1 minute for Gukesh. But now Arjun plays queen a4. He's like, my king is super safe. I defend everything. You play now. Queen comes to b2. He comes back here. And d4. Pushing forward. He pushes the pawn forward. f4. Gukesh makes a good move. His idea is to play f5. And Arjun says d3. Look at Arjun's knights. One of them coming to d4, the other coming to c5. Queen d2 played, defending, stopping the pawn. Arjun can play queen c2. He goes knight c5. Arjun knows how to play under time pressure because Gukesh, only 4 seconds before he made that move, f5. And now g takes f5. You can take with the knight. But somehow Arjun feels so comfortable with his king and 2 knights here. He just simply can go king d7. And he's asking Gukesh, where's your attack? The knight comes back to e3. And now you can take another pawn on g5. It's super difficult to play against two knights in such a position with less time. Boom, takes on g5. Queen f2. And now knight takes e4. Wow. Arjun playing this boldly. Queen b2. He wants to come in queen b7. And maybe have some mating ideas. King e6. Whoa, what a move. No checks in the position. Rook f4. Maybe the best move found by Gukesh. With just 8 seconds on the clock. c5 played. And he plays a3. But what about pushing the pawn maybe? He goes queen c6, setting up a discovered check. I think Arjun somehow finding moves which are so difficult to meet. Arjun has 1 minute 50 seconds. Queen b3 check. And he goes pawn to c4. If you take knight takes c4 here, knight d2 is game over with a check. So you have to take with the queen. The queens get traded. And believe it or not, even though black is an exchange down, it's black who's trying, because king d5, the king is active, the two knights are active, the d pawn is dangerous. But Gukesh has the draw in his hands. Knight b2, he attacks the pawn. You have to maybe go d3, d2. Plays d2. And now only move king f1 to come king e2, but he gives a check. And this is a losing move. Because now you can no longer bring your king. There's a check and you lose the rook. So he goes rook a5, trying to attack here. But king c3. The king comes in. The knight is attacked. And all of a sudden, Gukesh in big trouble. Knight d1, king c2. Attacking the knight. If knight f2, it gets traded. So knight e3. King comes back to d3. And you have to go back. Knight d1. But here is where Arjun can now start using both his knights. First, he can come king e2. Attack the knight. Knight goes to b2 far away. Now, if someone can just simply come and attack the knight, which is what he's doing. He's going knight f3, check, knight d3. Then the knight has to move and I make a queen. So king h3. Knight e1 regardless. And he comes rook d5, trying to stop the d pawn, trying to stop knight d3. But knight f2 check now. Plays it. Knight f2 check. The knight is anyway coming to d3. King h2. And knight comes back to d3, blocking the d file. Attacking the knight. Knight here. If you make a queen, there's knight c3 check. Arjun goes knight e4, stopping knight c3, and d1 is coming. Gukesh resigns. What a game. What an insane game between these two. Gukesh had a huge chance to beat Arjun out of the opening. It was fantastic opening prep, but he couldn't get the win there. And Arjun, well, once he got things rolling for himself, he was unstoppable. He was so good. I want to take you back to that position to show you how Gukesh could have won. But I'm a big fan of how Arjun defended, because it was so amazing. And I think the extra time on the clock did make a difference there. Arjun signing the score sheet there calmly. And what is amazing is in this tournament now, Arjun has moved into the joint lead along with Alireza Firouzja on 3.5 points. Meanwhile, Gukesh goes back to his room. in the elevator. You can see his expression there. He knows that he was better. He was very, very close to winning, but he couldn't get the point. And Arjun also coming in the same elevator. Well, I don't know if they spoke on their way up or not, but there you see Gukesh. So this is the position where Gukesh was completely winning. He played the best move, bishop d6. And now the point of this move is that this knight can no longer move, which means that everything is blocked up, and I'm simply coming here. I can take this and checkmate you. So rook d8 makes sense. If you take here king e7, black is completely fine. The knight comes up. So bishop c7, forcing here, bishop goes back, and this repetition. And now the tough move, I think this is the move which is very difficult, is that this is a winning idea. Bishop e5, bishop g7. It's winning, but the problem is that black always has knight f5. So what you want to do is, let's say if you go bishop e5, knight f5, you can no longer play knight g3, which is what you want to do. Because if he takes here, then this is hanging. But the problem is knight e3 check and you lose the queen. So in order to navigate this tactic, you play bishop f4, which is such a difficult move. But the point of this is that if you go knight f5, I now have knight g3. And this is game over because your knight can no longer move. I'm taking this. And in case if you just wait here with rook d8, I simply go knight g3. And now my idea is bishop e5, bishop g7, and there's just no way to stop it. You are completely toasted. So this plan of actually coming back with the bishop here to f4 to defend this, bring the knight out, and then again go here was super difficult. So Gukesh went directly here, and he did think this is winning, but Arjun had the king e7 defense available. And here you can see, by the way, if king e8, Gukesh had seen that takes, and queen h3 threatening a mate is actually a big thing. And here knight g3, and if you take here c8 is hanging, and this is a very good position. Even a tactic like knight e3, king f3 wins for white. But Arjun was quick to play king d6, and from this point onwards, Gukesh kept trying to win, but Arjun was amazing in his defense and deservedly won the game towards the end.